in general. Like I've met so many clients and I've met so many people that are just what we call fence sitters. They're afraid of making decision because of getting it right or wrong. And so this whole journey as a business owner is making friends with failure and making friends with no and making friends with the fact that things don't work out. Welcome to another episode of the Ignite podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Stone. I am the founder of Ignite Coaching, where I work specifically with business owners of engineering consultancies, obviously in the engineering industry, to help them grow and scale their businesses up to 5 million, and then from 5 million to 10 million and beyond. So I love what I get to do every single day. Today, team, what I want to talk to you about on the podcast is quite an interesting kind of concept or topic, and it's the importance of making decisions. So I kind of want to set this up properly. What I mean by the importance of making decisions is, like, obviously we are so busy at the moment. The market is just kind of crazy. There's plenty of work on, and particularly with the skills shortage and, finding it hard to get staff, I'm finding that all of my clients and business owners in general are, they're in decision fatigue, and not necessarily, and I want to talk about this topic, not from the point of view of, you're making so many decisions every single day that you feel, you just get to what people commonly refer to as decision fatigue, making so many decisions that you get tired of making decisions. What I'm actually finding at the moment, because there are so many decisions to make, that my clients and, business owners in general are actually putting off making decisions through, perceived lack of information. Sometimes you can be overwhelmed by all the number of decisions that you have to make, worried about whether the decision that you make is going to have positive or negative ramifications. And what seems to happen is, and I've experienced it too in my business, and so I'm getting better at it as well. And I just kind of want to share my experience and my clients' experience with you on the podcast today. What tends to happen is, these decisions build up and they accumulate over time. And then what happens is you feel so overwhelmed with all the decisions that you have to make that your decision-making ability and your thinking power actually goes down. So because you have so many decisions to make, and because you are putting off making those decisions for a whole raft of reasons, some functional in terms of, like, you don't have all the information yet, logically, illogically, you're telling yourself that story because you're actually afraid of making a decision to move forward, or, you've just got so many things coming at you left, right, and center that you just don't know where to start. And so this kind of decision fatigue is really because you are so overwhelmed and because you aren't making decisions. And a lot of the times, the answer, or what the right decision is, but you're putting it off through fear of failure, fear of retribution. It might be an uncomfortable conversation. Maybe it's a hard discussion. Maybe you're not sure it's going to come off, so there's a fear of failure there. Whatever the story is that you're telling yourself, because we've got so many decisions to make, our brain does this thing where it actually stores information in relation to those decisions. Because it's unmade, our brain knows that it's an unmade decision. Therefore, it keeps aside a portion of your thinking power or thinking ability or brain space, whatever you want to refer to it, or think about it like a hard drive that's getting close to full. It reserves space in your brain with, that decision and all the kind of parameters and, scenarios that you're kind of thinking about. Because it knows it's unmade, it needs to keep all that information handy if you want to kind of dive into making that decision, or kind of, bring up all that information to then think about the whole, problem again. Your brain reserves that. And so that reserves that space. And so if you've got 10, 15, 20, 40, 100 unmade decisions, your brain is reserving space and keeping all of that information held for you so that when it comes time to making that decision or moving forward, you can make it. The problem with this, like, it's kind of cool, right? But the problem with this is that it's clogging up your thinking ability, and your brain just gets quote unquote full. It just gets kind of like, I can't, there's no more space in here. And so you get to this point where you feel tired, or you feel overwhelmed, or you just feel like, there's so much in front of me and so many things I've got to do, and you just don't know where to start. And so often what that is decision fatigue. It's often because you've got so many unmade decisions in your world for a whole raft of reasons, and your brain's storing all that information, you just get to the point where your quality of thinking goes down. So where we want to get to is we need to get better at making decisions in general. Like I've met so many clients and I've met so many people that are just what we call fence sitters. They're afraid of making decision because of getting it right or wrong. And so this whole journey as a business owner is making friends with failure and making friends with no, and making friends with the fact that things don't work out. And it's kind of, and I might record a different podcast on this, it's about shifting our identity. So if we place our sense of self-worth on getting it right all the time, or our sense of self-worth on every decision that we make, paying off and, paying amazing dividends, we are going to stay stuck. So if we place our sense of self-worth there, as opposed to a lot of work I do with my clients is shifting our identity to that of the learner. So the identity of a learner is really, I'm here on this crazy journey called life. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. There's always things that I could be learning. I kind of am okay with the fact that, probably 8 out of 10 things I'm going to do are probably going to be wrong, or I'm not going to get it right. And so, I have to iterate and change my approach and all those sorts of things. But if we can shift our identity from having to get it right all the time to that of the learner, and embracing failure and embracing change and embracing that things have to keep changing and moving and evolving, we get better at making decisions. And so if we can, one, shift our identity to that of the learner, someone that's always keen to learn and grow and change and shift and evolve and all those sorts of things. But two, just recognize that we are holding ourselves back and holding back the business growth and the growth of our staff and our team and that of our clients because we are not great at making decisions. And really kind of embracing this whole, and you've got to sit down and work out for you, one, whether you're good at making decisions, two, whether you're the type of person that's more a perfectionist and you need to kind of have all the information at hand before you can make decisions. You've got to work out what's slowing you down and then make a commitment to work on that. Like if a decision comes along that's kind of, it doesn't matter either way, just kind of get better at making that decision. Challenge yourself to just go, yep, red instead of blue, green instead of black, just making decisions and being okay with, not being okay with not necessarily the outcome, but just the kind of the fact that getting used to and training yourself to make decisions more quickly. So if you can train yourself to, one, just make decisions more regularly on a regular basis, but two, make decisions more quickly, you are constantly, your brain's like, okay, collating all this information for this decision made, we move forward. Collating all this information, decision made, moving forward. And your clarity of thought will just go exponentially through the roof because you're constantly clearing the clutter in your brain to make those decisions more quickly, more effectively, and you are moving forward. The other thing that I really recognized is, we can run a scenario around and around and around in our head with we can think about all the different ways that this thing could possibly play out and come off, and all the, the 18 different sort of avenues that you can take. But it is honestly not until you take action that the next step becomes clearer. So there's this sort of saying that, clarity precedes action. Clarity precedes action in terms of, the more we take action, the more things become clearer. And a lot of work I do with my clients is kind of stepping off that cliff and stepping into the unknown and just kind of trusting that you're going to learn, you're going to get feedback, you make a decision, you get feedback from the world around you, and then you evaluate and you just keep moving forward. So whenever I feel stuck, and this is something that I'm working on a lot at the moment, it's just, I tell myself, you've just got to take the first step. Just kind of sit down, take the first step. One, you're kind of getting used to that activity of just taking the first step, but like just through that first step, the next step becomes clearer, and then the next step becomes clearer, and the next step becomes clearer. So it's just kind of making friends with failure, being okay if things don't come off, but just getting better at making decisions, making them more quickly, sitting down, taking that action, doing what you need to do to move things forward. And kind of the final thought or final thing that I leave you with is, like, it's just a fact that the more action that you take and the more decisions that you make on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, your business will just move forward more quickly because you're making decisions, you're taking actions. Yeah, you might be failing a bit more and things might not come off, but you're learning so much more and you're taking those learnings into that next experience or that next endeavor, and you're just growing as a person. So the byproduct of making decisions more quickly, making decisions in general, clearing your head, having that clarity of thought available for when decisions come up, is that your business will grow more quickly. Just a fact. It's going to happen with so many of my clients' businesses and in my business too. Moving that roadblock, which is, decision fatigue, and just making decisions, moving forward, evaluate, repeat, kind of move forward in that regard. So team, that's kind of all I wanted to cover in today's episode, but I'll kind of leave you with this, which is really, if you are the type of person that knows that you don't make decisions very well, or that you sit and stew on things, challenge yourself to step into the mentality or the mindset of a learner, which is, it doesn't matter whether I get this right or wrong, it doesn't matter whether it comes off, I'm just going to make this decision, move forward, learn and grow. And I promise you, your business will grow as a result. All right. That's it for me today on today's episode. If you'd like some help implementing this stuff in your business, please don't hesitate to reach out. Send me an email, give me a call on the mobile, and we can have a chat about how I can help you move your business forward faster. Okay, team, talk to you soon.